Thank you for tuning in to this 2016 General Election Candidate Forum for Superior Court Judges. The forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County and TCTV. The League is a nonprofit organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in their government. The League neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties. We are nonpartisan. The League registers new voters, studies issues, and advocates for its positions with the legislature. Despite its name, the League is open to both men and women of voting age. I'm Elliot Weinstein from the League, and I'll be moderating this forum. The candidates for Superior Court Judge Position 7 are Jim Foley and John Skinder. Only Mr. Skinder has joined us today for this forum. He will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Then I'll ask him questions, and he will have 2 minutes for each response. There will be a 1-minute closing statement at the end. Mr. Skinder, please give us your opening statement. You will have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Elliot, and thank you for having me here today. My name is John Skinder, and I'm running for Thurston County Superior Court Judge, position number 7. I've been a practicing attorney for 20 years, and I've been at the Thurston County Prosecutor's Office since 2000. I became a lawyer to help families and children who had been impacted by crime. And in my time as a deputy prosecutor, I've run our Special Victims Unit, which handles all crimes where adults and children have been victimized through sexual assault. I've run our Domestic Violence Unit, which is helping families that are dealing with the horrible nature of domestic violence. I've run our Juvenile Unit, and I've been our lead attorney in our Appellate Unit. Approximately 3 years ago, I switched over to the civil side of the prosecutor's office, and I currently represent Thurston County in federal and state court. I'm also the legal advisor to our sheriff, John Snaza, our assessor, Stephen Drew, our treasurer, Sean Myers, and our coroner, Gary Warnock. I provide them legal assistance and advice, as well as looking at all their day-to-day legal needs. I've been a past president of the Thurston County Bar Association. I serve on the State Board for Children's Advocacy Centers of Washington. I live in this community. I've lived here since 1996. Married to my wife. We have an 11-year-old who attends school in the Tumwater School District. I have over 300 community endorsements. Over 20 judicial officers have endorsed my campaign, and every living retired Superior Court judge in Thurston County has endorsed me. I believe the reason why is because of the breadth of my experience and the fact that I bring ideas about collaboration and innovation to our bench. I've seen what works and what doesn't work, and I want to bring that experience to Thurston County to help make our system work better. I'm very excited by this opportunity.
Thank you very much. We will proceed with the first question. Again, you will have 2 minutes to answer. What do you seek to accomplish as a Superior Court judge?
Thank you. Well, to me, the position of Superior Court judge has two components to it. The first is inside the courtroom. Does the person that's running for the position have the skill to do that? I am very fortunate to say that I have that experience. I have tried some of the most difficult cases, as you can imagine, having run the Special Victims Unit and our Domestic Violence Unit, some of the most serious crimes in our community. And that skill translates to being a judge because you know the issues the trial attorneys are going through. You know how to provide an opportunity for both sides to be heard, to protect the rights of the defendant, to follow the law, and to make sure the rules of evidence are scrupulously followed to preserve what happens at the trial court level when it goes to the Court of Appeals, which is the standard course. The other aspect, though, of the job is outside the community, and that is equally important in my view. This position has a mantle of authority, and by that I mean you are in a position, if you're elected into the judge position, to really look at making systematic changes. I think we're very fortunate here in Thurston County. We have a great bench. We have a great beginnings of a lot of the problem-solving courts where you're looking at non-traditional means to get a better result for individuals, but at the same time be more efficient with state and county resources, and get a better, more just outcome. And so my entire career as an attorney has been bringing people together in communities to make a better process, and that's what I look to do if I'm elected judge.
Thank you. Here's the next question. How is being a Superior Court judge in Thurston County different from being a Superior Court judge in any other county in Washington state? Please give us specific examples.
Certainly. So Thurston County, because this is we have Olympia here, and because we are Thurston County, approximately 80% of the lawsuits involving the state of Washington are filed in Thurston County. And so that brings a great complexity to the work that a Thurston County Superior Court judge does, in addition to everything else. Superior Court judges, they handle all the felony criminal matters, they handle family court matters, they handle juvenile court matters, probate, mental illness in terms of Involuntary Treatment Act. There are a lot of responsibilities and a lot of very important civil cases that in Thurston County take on the additional factor of having, because we are the capital seat, we get all of those large lawsuits. And so it really is incumbent on judges in Thurston County to have a great depth and breadth of experience.
Thank you. Take a minute to. What is the role of public policy in the job of a Thurston County Superior Court judge?
The role of the judge in our system of checks and balances is to follow the law. So public policy generally does not enter into that calculation. The role of the judge is to make sure that that the rules are followed, the rules of evidence, the rules of court procedure are followed. And really, the idea is that you want to provide a fair playing field for everyone that comes to court. In our system, it doesn't matter how much money someone has or doesn't have. Everyone gets a fair chance in court, and everyone should be treated with respect in the court process. Public policy is an issue that can involve the position of a judge outside of the courtroom. And by that I mean there are responsibilities that I alluded to earlier, that sort of mantle of authority that comes with being elected into a judicial position, of taking on policy to make our system work better, more access to justice, more collaborative problem-solving courts, more attempts to bring the different units of government together to work more efficiently. Where we can really see that currently is on the criminal side. Our jail, as many of you know, is overcrowded. The court system is backed up tremendously. People spend longer and longer incarcerated waiting for their opportunity to have a trial. And this is where the experience of having 17 years in the criminal system really allows me to get in and work with community stakeholders to try to do things to take care of some of those pressures and get the system working better, more efficiently, getting better results for people in the sense of, let's have those cases tried. Someone doesn't need to sit in the jail for a year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How do you define judicial activism? That's the first tier of this question. Do you think it's a problem? Why or why not? And you can answer in shades of gray as well.
I appreciate that. Judicial activism is a loaded term. Generally, it's spoken of in a negative light, that you have a judge that is putting their personal views as more important than the law. And in that sense, judicial activism, as it's used in that negative context, is certainly not the role of a judge. The role of a judge is to follow the law and to make sure procedurally as well that there is justice for everyone that comes to court. That's the important thing. Judicial activism could mean, I suppose, and when we talk about shades of gray, it depends who's using these terms, but sometimes that can refer to judges actively trying to make the system better. In that form of judicial activism, if you're going to use it in sort of a social justice context, that makes sense, but not at the cost of the role of a judge in court to follow the law and to make sure everyone's treated fairly and everyone has the perception that they have before them a neutral judge that's going to give them a fair chance, that's going to listen, that hasn't pre-decided anything, and will rule on the law.
Can you apply this answer to the problem of having a pro se litigant?
Certainly. Having pro or self-represented parties. Having someone that's self-represented can be problematic for a number of reasons. First of all, a lot of times when people are self-represented, they don't have a full knowledge of the system the way that an attorney would. They haven't gone to school, they haven't practiced, and so they are trying to get through a very complex system, make sense of it, and a lot of times the way that they might argue something might not sound right to people who are used to the court process. That's where I think, again, the role of a judge is really important. I've been fortunate throughout my career to be able to work with a lot of self-represented parties. And there are some things, and this is in the vein of procedural justice, that you need to treat everyone in the system with respect. You need to make sure everyone's voice is heard, and you need to give an opportunity for that to happen, a meaningful access. And when that happens, people feel that the system is fair. And I think that's a real issue in today's world, that there's been this erosion of respect, I think, for government and for the courts. And I want to work on making that better. I think judges should be very involved and very, while holding everyone to the same rules, should at the same time explain things clearly, should listen, should make sure if there's questions they're dealt with. Again, for that ultimate goal of making sure that everyone that comes to court feels that they had a fair opportunity to be heard.
Thank you. Do you see a Superior Court judge's role as that of educating the public about the scope of your judicial power? And this would mean the community as well. Why or why not?
I do. I think, and I know this is a doorbell through Thurston County right now, that a lot of people who don't take part in the court system don't necessarily have any experiences to give them a sense of if the system is working well or not. They look to the headlines of the papers, they hear and they see things that aren't good, but a lot of people don't have a direct interaction with the court. And so I think it's incumbent on us that are in the legal system, and especially in the judicial positions, to take a role in educating the public. And I've enjoyed that throughout my legal career. One of the things I've enjoyed the most, and I told you that I enjoy working with children immensely, is going to the schools, talking about the roles of the court, how our system works. It's extremely important. And I see a role there for the court. And it's a twofold. One, there's an education component that you want the community to fully understand what the courts do. But there's another part of it. As we talk about issues of social justice, as we talk about ways to improve access to our courts, as we talk about ways to make people feel that they're being heard in our courts, and that we need to have a dialogue. And I think more and more things seem very polarized. And it's one of the things I enjoy about running for this position, that it's a nonpartisan position. We need to have thoughtful discussions on the appropriate role of all sorts of things in the justice system, not the least of which is how we use incarceration.
Thank you. What is your philosophy about alternative dispute resolution? In what cases should it be encouraged, and in what cases is it inappropriate prior to trial?
Sure. Well, alternative dispute resolution is a wonderful tool for a number of reasons. Basically, the idea is, as opposed to going all the way through court process, which can be extremely, not only complicated, but expensive and take a long time, the idea of alternative dispute resolution, and you have mediation, you have settlement conferences, you can have arbitration, facilitators. These are all ways to try to get the parties to reach an agreement that both sides think is fair, that they believe they can live with, and do it in a much quicker, less costly, and take away some of the winner-takes-all mentality of an adversarial court system. So it's wonderful. Now, where alternative forms of dispute resolution don't work very well is where there's a real inequality between the parties. So, a perfect example would be domestic violence cases. If you had a situation where one person had been a victim, let's say, of another person, and there was a real inequality of their positions, it would not be appropriate because they're not on a level playing field. And you also see some limitations really in those types of areas. In family court, I think you have to be very careful. It can be done, but it just needs to be done appropriately. In the criminal law, also, it probably really can't be very effectively used. Again, there's a huge disparity in the power positions, but I think there are opportunities where maybe it could, but it would have to be done very carefully.
Thank you very much. What is your philosophy about the use of alternative courts, such as mental health court or drug court? How and when should cases be referred to these special courts?
Thank you. Again, for some of the reasons we talked about with forms of alternative dispute resolution, these problem-solving courts is what they are called, or therapeutic courts. They are trying to get at an underlying problem that brings someone into the criminal justice system. And what I would say is, over my 20 years as an attorney, you see a wide variety of people that come in to the court system for a criminal justice matter. There are some people that do horrible crimes where they are directly victimizing someone through, for example, sexual assault or murder or serious assaults. Those cases, there's just a public safety component, which has to be a very strong priority for the court and for government in general to differentiate. Those people that do horrible crimes, they need to be securely locked away for the safety of the community. But there's a whole other group of criminal defendants that we see that sometimes come into court for relatively low-level offenses, and a lot of times it's because they perhaps have a drug problem, or there's a mental health problem, or there's a dual diagnosis between the mental health and the drug problem that causes almost a revolving door. And by revolving door, I mean someone gets charged, they come to court, let's say they were having a difficult time having a stable living place, maybe they're staying with someone, they get arrested, they go to jail, they lose that place to live, the ability for them to get work is compromised. A lot of times through court fines, people lose the ability to drive. They then really can't work. If they have children, they're really not able to take part in that child's life. And so you end up with this problem where people keep stuck in the system like a revolving door. These problem-solving therapeutic courts give us a way to get those people with wraparound services to get them out of that revolving door and back to being a productive member of our society.
Thank you. This is the final question. And remember, you have 2 minutes. Do you think that courts can render an opinion about the legality of a ballot issue prior to its appearance on the ballot? If so, why? And if not, why not? And again, you can answer in different shades of gray.
Right. Well, and this is one that is certainly topical as Olympia is dealing with a ballot measure right now. And it puts me, I certainly can't speak about a specific ballot issue, and I know you didn't ask me about a specific one.
No.
But my office is clearly involved in that since we represent the auditor for the county. But what I would say is the way ballot measures get reviewed historically, and we're seeing more ballot initiative measures. Historically, what has happened is they've been put on the ballot and then they've been challenged for constitutionality or other legality basis after, if the electorate votes for them. We are seeing now an attempt in some jurisdictions to bring that legal challenge before it appears on the ballot. And I believe the reason for that is an attempt to save the costs involved with having something appear on the ballot, be voted on by the people, and then this legal challenge to it after the fact. And so the case law is still being developed. And again, the role of a judge is to make sure that, especially in the trial court level, which is what the Superior Court judge position is, it's a trial court level, is to follow the dictates of our Court of Appeals and our state Supreme Court. And so what I would say is I would follow the law. You know, a party can bring a challenge, and then the court would have to go through the relevant case law and the statutes and make a decision about whether it was appropriate for that challenge to be heard substantively at that time, or whether, conversely, it could be ordered, go ahead and put it on the ballot, and then we'll deal with the legal challenge after.
Thank you. This concludes the question portion, and now is your time to make a closing statement. You have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Well, I wanted to thank the League of Women Voters very much for having this forum today, for another opportunity for me to reach out to you, the voter. This position of Superior Court judge is tremendously important to our community. As I talked about earlier, the role of the judge in Superior Court is to hear a broad variety of cases that impact really everyone in some aspect throughout life. We need to have good quality people in those positions. And running for this position, what I've learned is it's really difficult to differentiate candidates. And I think it's difficult on the voters because the judge position is nonpartisan, and because we have to be neutral and objective and we can't say what our views are on issues. How do you decide? And so what I would suggest is the best way to look at it is experience. And I think I have a wide breadth of experience in my 20 years as an attorney. I think the other thing that you can really look to is the quality of endorsements. I have, as I mentioned, I have over 300 endorsements. The lawyers in Thurston County have supported me over my opponent by a 7-to-1 ratio. Over 20 judicial officers have supported and endorsed and are behind my campaign. And I'd really hope all of you would join in that, and on November 8th would vote for me to serve you as judge. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, we have concluded the forum. Thank you, Mr. Skinder, for coming to the forum and speaking. I want to thank the League of Women Voters, and I also want to thank TCTV for this presentation. This ends the Superior Court Judge Position 7 forum today. Thank you very much.